See, Paul.
She just has an amazing spirit. I mean, the way she fought through that match. And look, it's one thing to win a bunch of big matches in a row. You see the leg taped up. You see her playing a terrific player like Jessica Pegula. And like you said, Coco, there were moments in there where we're like, okay, that's it. I mean, how many times did we get off the couch in the green room and start to walk in here? And she just did an amazing job. You have to give Jess a ton of credit because it's very easy as the one that's supposed to win to start to go away when this youngster imposes that great will of hers. So it was a terrific tournament.
One of the most respected coaches in tennis just said something that made the entire sport pause. After decades beside legends like Roger Federer, Paul Annacone suddenly turned his attention to a 20-year-old from the Philippines. Not because she won a Grand Slam, not because she is ranked #1, but because something about Eala's game feels different. Stadiums are filling, viewership is exploding, and a quiet shift is happening in women's tennis. The real question is simple. What exactly did Annacone see?
Support in Indian Wells. Look at this. I mean, this was in Australia. Court 6 literally had a line. I know I'm exaggerating, but it went for miles at the Aussie. It was wild scenes there. Allie, can you remember a women's star who gets this type of support wherever she goes?
I'd have to say maybe a little bit of Sonia Mirza. Back in her heyday, obviously the Indian fans took to her and they followed her all around the globe, obviously not to this extent. And I think the ceiling that Eala has is obviously that much higher. And I'm gonna bring in a little boxing here.
If Eala's incredible rise has you just as excited as we are, make sure you subscribe to the channel and join us for every moment of her journey as she continues shaking up the tennis world. Something unusual is happening on the WTA Tour, and the most surprising part is that one of the sharpest minds in tennis noticed it before the rest of the world fully caught on. When a coach who once stood beside legends like Roger Federer and Pete Sampras suddenly pauses mid-analysis to talk about a 20-year-old from the Philippines, people in tennis circles tend to lean forward and listen carefully.
You seem so poised for someone who's never been in this moment before. Can you tell us just, is this how your personality is, or is this something that you've developed over the last few years? Like, how do you seem so calm and so composed considering everything that's going on right now? Thank you.
Yeah, and again, I think I don't have a lot of experience on the WTA Tour, that's for sure, but I do have experience with compartmentalizing. I have experience with being
because the man making that observation is not someone who hands out compliments casually. Paul Annacone has spent most of his professional life watching greatness unfold from the front row. He understands the difference between players who look promising and players who quietly begin to reshape the sport around them.
The beginning for her, she is a ton of fun to watch.
Making history for the Philippines. It was great to see all those flags in the crowd and her staying on court for a while, just soaking it all in.
She did not want to leave. She's going to be there after Jessica Pegula leaves, still signing autographs, taking photos, kissing babies, you know, all the things.
Why not? Just 19 years old, first time in a semifinal. Just take it off.
When he appeared on Tennis Channel Live and began discussing Eala, the tone of the conversation shifted almost immediately. This was not casual praise. It sounded more like recognition, and recognition from someone like Annacone carries weight.
We teased it. The Eala phenomenon continues here in the SoCal desert. Let's hear from some of those local fans who are gathering around the Filipino star.
She's humble and she works hard.
Humble.
Yeah, that's why we like her, you know, because she's the face of the Philippines.
Just aside from her talent, she's also thinking of the future.
You know, I've only dreamed of making tennis grow in the Philippines, and now I'm bringing a whole new audience to tennis all around the world.
So when Eala plays, we all get together and we all watch her, support her as a...
After 3 decades inside the highest levels of professional tennis, he has developed an eye that rarely misses. To understand why his comments about Eala felt so significant, you first have to understand the kind of perspective he brings into the room. Annacone was not just a former player who transitioned into commentary. During his own career, he climbed as high as world number 12 on the ATP Tour, competing in an era filled with brutal competition and relentless travel. That alone would have given him credibility. But his real influence began after he stepped away from playing and moved into coaching. That decision placed him directly beside some of the most dominant champions the sport has ever seen. Working with Pete Sampras meant studying one of the most unstoppable forces in tennis history from the inside. Sampras collected 14 Grand Slam titles during a period when the sport was packed with elite talent, yet he managed to control the biggest stages with almost mechanical consistency. Annacone was there through that dominance, studying the patterns that separated Sampras from the rest of the field, the serve precision, the footwork, the strategic calm under pressure. Those years sharpened Annacone's ability to recognize the blueprint of greatness. Then came another chapter that elevated that perspective even further. Coaching Roger Federer meant standing beside a player widely considered the most technically elegant athlete tennis has ever produced. Federer's game appeared effortless on television, but the truth behind that beauty was hours of detailed work, tactical adjustments, and psychological resilience that few people ever witnessed up close.
Alexandra Eala, the teenager from the Philippines, who didn't have to play today.
You're calling it.
She's winning the tournament.
Eala?
Yep.
Oh,
Wow. Why do you say that?
Mic drop from Annacone.
I don't have to elaborate.
How is she going to beat Iga?
No, I think, look, it's been so much fun to watch her play. I love the fact that she's been able to take power and use it against her opponent. I think Iga probably has a little too much horsepower and experience for her in all seriousness.
Are you stepping back now?
Yeah, but I want... This is how I get the microphone. This is how I get my ability to talk. I say something really outlandish.
Big hot take, and then you say...
Annacone saw those layers every day. He saw the doubt, the corrections, and the constant search for improvement that even a 20-time Grand Slam champion never escaped. Experiences like that permanently change how a coach evaluates young players. Once you have spent years studying the mechanics and mentality of athletes like Federer and Sampras, your standard for identifying true potential becomes incredibly precise. You stop being impressed by flashy moments. You start looking for subtler signs. The way a player reads the ball, the way they manage pressure, the way they carry themselves when the crowd suddenly becomes loud. And when Annacone watched Alex Eala play, he noticed those signs almost immediately. At the beginning of the 2026 season, Eala entered the year ranked just outside the very top tier of the WTA rankings, sitting around the low 30s in the world. On paper, that ranking places a player firmly among the tour's rising competitors, but still several steps away from the sport's biggest stars. What caught his attention first was not the ranking or the results. It was the way she moved into the ball. In modern tennis, timing has become one of the most valuable tactical advantages a player can possess. Many competitors prefer to wait for the ball to reach the peak of its bounce before striking it, giving themselves more time to prepare. Eala does something different. She frequently attacks the ball earlier than expected, striking it on the rise and sending it back across the court before her opponent has fully recovered their position. That small adjustment changes the rhythm of an entire rally.
So I think that if Eala, can keep doing well with her tennis, who knows? The sky's the limit on the court, off the court. I mean, she could be rolling in it, if you will.
Yeah, she's got a smile that lights up a room too, And I remember last year when she beat Iga Swiatek, and she kind of did it with a lot of grace and humility, And it was really, for me, it was terrific to see her take that match and watch her play after that and watch her try to continue to progress, because I like her game. Obviously she wants to get better than where she is now, the 32 in the world, but she's got a lot of good hand-eye coordination.
Taking the ball early essentially steals time from the opponent. It forces them to react faster, adjust their positioning, and often scramble to defend angles they did not anticipate. Only players with exceptional hand-eye coordination and confidence attempt it consistently, because the margin for error becomes razor-thin. Annacone recognized that instinct instantly. Players like Justine Henin and Billie Jean King built parts of their success on similar timing advantages, reading the ball earlier than their opponents and redirecting it with sharp precision. When Annacone looked at Eala, he saw echoes of that same tactical courage. But technique alone does not create a star. What impressed him just as much was something far less measurable. He noticed the way she carried herself. Annacone observed something very different in Eala. She looked comfortable. That composure first caught global attention during a stunning moment at the 2025 Miami tournament, where Eala managed to defeat the then world number 1, Iga Swiatek. Victories like that often become chaotic celebrations for young players experiencing their first major breakthrough. Eala's reaction was noticeably calm. She handled the moment with quiet confidence and humility, almost as if the results simply confirmed what she believed was possible.
We plan our dinners around that stuff.
Really? You signed up for Tennis Channel to watch her?
Yeah, because sometimes they don't show it.
So the year subscription, just in case?
The monthly.
Oh, the monthly, okay.
The monthly, just in case she doesn't play, then we don't...
My dude,
get the yearly.
Yo, it's $77.
I love the honesty, though. I love the honesty. He's like, we're not concerned about anyone else right now. It's Alex Eala time. This is Alex Eala's moment. Our days, our dinners, our evenings are fixated on when she's playing. That's real tennis fandom.
For a coach who has watched the careers of legendary athletes unfold from behind the scenes, that emotional stability matters enormously. Annacone understands that success in tennis is rarely determined by a single brilliant performance. It is determined by how a player processes those moments afterward. Can they stay grounded when the spotlight grows brighter? Can they absorb sudden fame without losing focus on improvement? These questions often define the difference between a promising talent and a long-term champion. Eala's journey to this point has also been shaped by an environment designed to produce elite competitors. At just 13 years old, she left the Philippines and moved to Spain to train at the prestigious Rafa Nadal Academy, founded by Rafael Nadal. That academy is not known for creating comfortable paths for young athletes. She witnessed it in real time, watching Nadal's training philosophy influence every corner of the academy. The emphasis was always the same: compete for every point, never surrender momentum, and trust preparation above everything else. Those lessons became part of her game. As the 2026 season progressed, her results began reflecting that steady development. One of the most important moments arrived during the prestigious WTA 1000 event in Dubai, where Eala pushed her way deep into the draw and reached the quarterfinal stage. Waiting there was one of the most recognizable young stars in the sport.
Is coming to an end. He was looking like such a genius out here, but it was really admirable to see a youngster really step up to the challenge. It looked like she was fading away physically towards the start of that second set, but she fought back, and the fight is something that we're going to constantly see for years to come if she can just keep going on this moment.
Coco Gauff, already a Grand Slam winner and one of the WTA's biggest global attractions, represented a massive challenge. Gauff ultimately won the match, but the contest itself revealed something important. Eala refused to be overwhelmed. She attacked rallies with confidence, pressured Gauff from the baseline, and forced the American star to fight for every game. For viewers watching closely, the match felt less like a routine victory for a top-5 player and more like a preview of a rivalry that might grow over time. Annacone noticed that too. From a coach's perspective, matches like that reveal more about a player than straightforward wins ever could. They expose how a competitor behaves when facing the sport's elite. Wherever she plays, the stands begin filling with fans waving Philippine flags, chanting her name, and celebrating each point as if it were a championship moment. The energy surrounding her matches has become impossible to ignore. For the WTA Tour, that level of engagement represents something extremely valuable. Tennis has always been a global sport, but certain regions of the world historically produced far fewer elite players. When a star suddenly emerges from a country that has rarely appeared at the top of the rankings, the reaction can be enormous. Eala is becoming that figure for millions of fans across Southeast Asia.
I knew the tournament was in some trouble when I saw the schedule and they put her on court 6, which is maybe the 7th or 8th biggest court at this tournament. It's not one of the bigger places at all. And it was lines of thousands of people long almost before the previous men's match had even started. You know, people were queuing up to get in, sit and watch an entire men's match they weren't interested in, just to try to get seats to Eala. And it was just way overflowed. So hopefully the tournament has learned its lesson and will put her on bigger courts in the future, because, you know, this tournament does market itself as being the Grand Slam of Asia Pacific.
Television viewership for her matches has surged dramatically, particularly across the Philippines and neighboring regions. Social media conversations spike whenever she enters a major tournament. Stadiums that might normally feature scattered international audiences suddenly erupt with coordinated cheering sections. In simple terms, she is bringing new fans into the sport. For the WTA, that kind of influence is transformative. Every generation of tennis experiences moments when a new personality expands the reach of the game. Serena Williams once helped push women's tennis into unprecedented global popularity. Players like Naomi Osaka opened the door for massive audiences across Asia. That sense of connection between athlete and audience explains why the atmosphere at her matches feels different. Fans are not simply watching a competitor. They are watching someone who carries their hopes into arenas where their country's flag has rarely appeared before. And remarkably, Eala seems to thrive under that pressure. Many young players struggle when national expectations begin piling onto their shoulders. The psychological weight can become overwhelming. Eala appears to channel that energy into motivation rather than anxiety. Annacone recognized that emotional balance immediately.
It's the Annacone Open like it was the Rio Open. We're going to boom off the stage in a second because you can't go back.
Look, seriously,
Should be rested.
I expect her to have a really good showing. I do think Iga's got too much firepower, but I think this is a really big new beginning. We're going to see a lot of good tennis from her, and I think it's going to be a really exciting time. I was jesting. I think she's going to be a little bit short tomorrow.
Oh.
But see how I got
tomorrow. You went all the way to the title.
I got
and now
control of the microphone that way. As soon as I did that, you guys were like, "Let me listen to what Paul."
Me
It's
like
the only
an
way I can get your
Eskimo
attention.
right there. I was bought in.
He has watched enough champions develop to understand that the ability to remain steady during intense moments is one of the rarest traits in professional sports. It cannot be easily taught, and it cannot be faked for long. Either an athlete learns to control the chaos around them, or the chaos eventually controls them. So far, Eala looks perfectly comfortable navigating that storm. As the WTA Tour moves deeper into a generational transition, her timing could not be more interesting. Legends who once dominated the rankings have stepped away, and the competitive hierarchy is still evolving. A breakthrough season could quickly elevate her from rising talent to genuine contender. That possibility is exactly what makes Annacone's comments resonate so strongly. Because when someone who spent years studying Federer's brilliance suddenly identifies a similar spark of potential in a young player, the tennis world tends to take notice.
Alexandra, this week just keeps getting better for you. You just took out the world #5 for the biggest win of your career. We saw the reaction. What is going through your mind right now?
I'm so blank. I'm thinking of my parents who are watching now. Mom, Dad, nakuha ko! Oh my God! I can't call them because I have this interview, but I'll call them after. Anyway, yeah, that's it.
In terms of the tennis, what did you think you did particularly well today?
Oh, I don't know. I just kept my head down.
Alex Eala is still early in her journey, but the signs surrounding her rise are becoming harder to ignore. The skill is there, the mentality is developing, and the fan support continues to grow larger with every tournament appearance. In many ways, she represents the perfect storm for the modern WTA Tour. A fearless competitor trained in one of tennis's toughest academies. That combination is powerful. Paul Annacone did not simply praise a young athlete during a television segment. He pointed toward a shift happening quietly inside the sport. A new figure is emerging who could reshape audience engagement, bring fresh energy to the WTA Tour, and inspire millions of new fans to follow tennis. And if the early signs are accurate, Alex Eala may only be getting started.